Welcome back to Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. I'm your host, Mr. Honest, and today we're diving into the blood-soaked, bone-crunching, absolutely insane ride that is Marvel Zombies. This series was originally planned as a movie, but due to the rights of Spider-Man, Marvel turned it into a 4-part animated event, and wow, did they take advantage of that format. Gore, surprises, and cameos like we've never seen in the MCU. Also, surprising character moments, standout moments, and just all over this brilliant series. If you ask me immediately out the gate, I want to tell you how much I actually enjoyed this. It was fresh, it was awesome, and I'm so excited to dig into the details with you. We're covering all 4 episodes right here in one go, so spoiler alert, don't just watch one episode and come here and listen. Watch all of them, come back. However, we will be reviewing the episodes in order, so there won't be too much cross play, but I don't want anyone to get spoiled. So for safety reasons, come back after you've watched it. My raw first impressions of this show, let's say I kept a low standard so I wasn't disappointed, right? So when something is beyond good and you're maintaining your low expectations, it can kind of blow you out of the water and that's the kind of why you do that. You set low expectations, so if the show's good, it'll just hit you right. It felt like an Avengers movie. And literally, I mean, it was an Avengers movie. I watched all 4 in one go, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I love the continuation. I need to let you know that this is a continuation. You probably noticed already, but if you haven't seen Marvel's What If, there is a prequel, technically, episode to this whole series in Marvel's What If. It's called What If Zombies, the episode, and it's about halfway through that season, the first season. We cover that on the podcast, but also in the last episode, we do review it. So if you were hoping for that little recap, you can go back to the most recent episode of this podcast before this one, and we talk all about What If Zombies before this Zombies. And they actually stay 100% true to the continuity of that episode. Everything that happens in that episode leads into this series, which is fantastic. The one thing I'll just say off the bat, Peter Parker, not the main character. If you watch it, you might know who it is, but let's just let that unveil as we go into episode 1, the Survivor Squad and the Beacon. The episodes don't have names, so these are kind of just like titles for the sections. So we open with a deceptively but beautiful shot. Sunlight breaking through ruins, only to be smashed by an arrow through a zombie's head. Kate Bishop, our new Hawkeye, is on the scene alongside Kamala Khan, Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart, and Friday, running Tony Stark's old armor with a teddy bear head bolted on top. I don't know why they needed the teddy bear head. I guess it just made Friday seem like more of an accomplice than just a mindless, headless machine. Nearly Headless Nick territory. Magic Muggle, a Harry Potter after show. Listen on any platform. We're covering book 2, Chamber of Secrets. Almost done with it. Got a couple more weeks. That's my little promotion for you. So right away, this does feel like the beginning of an Avengers movie. Like I was saying, youthful energy, quippy chemistry, and action that pulls no punches. Kamala quickly takes center stage, and the tone is set. This is her story. And I love how they did this. You might not like this off the rip. You might not be super happy to hear Kamala is the main character. However, this show does it right. So just to remind you of the continuity from the previous episode, What If Zombies, from season 1 of What If, this world turned into a zombie apocalypse in the time frame of Ant-Man and the Wasp. That means when Bruce Banner crashes in to Doctor Strange's home, I can't think of the name of the place, but with the beautiful circular window, he falls through the roof like an Infinity War. This is following Infinity War structure. So the events of the zombie apocalypse take place through the events of Infinity War, right? So in this series, we're at 5 years later after Infinity War. But more importantly, for all of these characters that we start out with, Riri, aka Ironheart, Kate Bishop, the new Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel, who doesn't have that name in this show because guess what? She never even knew Captain Marvel existed yet. She comes and fights at the Battle of New York, and that's the big story that Kamala latches onto and turns into Miss Marvel through. But it turns out that Miss Marvel doesn't need Captain Marvel to become her own hero in every single way in this series. The crew investigates a crashed Quinjet. Inside, there's a zombie pilot. Kamala has to literally rip open its stomach to retrieve a shrunken transponder pulsing with PIM particles. This is a grotesque but hilarious moment after a game of rock, paper, scissors with Riri. In my opinion, Riri scanned and found the device. However, Kamala had to dig in there with a knife and go get it. And that's the first sign of, oh, so we're putting Kamala in an R-rated setting. I was the guy who didn't watch Miss Marvel at first because I thought it was a kid's show. And here she is, front and center, getting down with the guts in the zombie apocalypse. Never thought I'd see it, but I'm so happy that I am. Their mission forms: get this beacon to Ohio, to what's left of S.H.I.E.L.D. and beyond. This could be the answer to everything. They don't know every detail about it. All they know is that it's probably pretty important. But the city isn't safe. It's not safe at all. Even at this point, zombie Hawkeye stalks them with his lethal precision. Meanwhile, in the background, a cosmic brawl between Icarus and Captain Marvel tearing the skies apart. Collateral damage vaporizes Kate Bishop in one of the most shocking early deaths. Right before this, they do all decide to go to Ohio to get this beacon where it needs to go. It didn't take much planning, but it is a little chilling how Riri does say, we shouldn't do this. We have a 20% shot at survival. And no one listened to her, but at the same time, it needed to be done. From here, the real threats line up. And let me just say one more time, the fact that they brought in Icarus and Eternal is very cool. I don't know how he's a zombie. I don't know if he is a zombie. He might not be, because, you know, if you watch the Eternals, you know they're pretty much just really futuristic robots. Ancient, technically, but still futuristic technology compared to what we have on Earth. So there's like a valley of the gods, I guess they call it. That's not what they call it, but it's something like that, where Icarus and Captain Marvel are just fighting infinitely. They can't beat each other, so they're just fighting and fighting, and the only thing that they fight against is other people who get in the way of their fight. So this is how Kate Bishop gets obliterated. We see her skeleton. We see that a couple times in this show. This show isn't afraid to kill off its characters. Another amazing thing. I mean, not that we love to see our characters die, but we love the stakes. We love the tension. I like seeing something dramatic happen to a character that I feel like has plot armor all of a sudden completely down the drain. So from here, we see the real threats. Zombie Okoye, who we got to see Okoye in the original What If episode. We saw her dragged into a building from Wanda. So Wanda was already starting her reign of the Witch of the Dead, Queen of the Dead storyline, big time in What If Zombies. Now, Okoye is like the secondary villain for the first few, leading hordes in service of the Queen of the Dead. A reveal of Scarlet Witch's shadow over this world, but not yet fully seen. And the introduction of Blade Knight. Yes, there is a sacrifice play made by Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, who I love. I think her story on our Disney Plus show didn't go over too well. I didn't hate it, but reading and listening to some of the other fan reviews, I could see why they weren't the biggest fan of the show. But I think she does a fantastic job voicing her character in this episode, and her character fulfills a pretty epic purpose, and that is to get Kamala Khan out of danger's way and to move forward towards Ohio to get the transmitter or whatever it is and figure out what to do with it. So we get Blade Knight, and this is Moon Knight times Blade, and it is very cool. I never watched the original Blade movies, but I know Wesley Snipes' character of Blade from Deadpool and Wolverine, and also I've seen him in clips and whatnot. He's iconic, and maybe we should cover those. So this Blade isn't voiced by Mahershala Ali, the next Blade, however long that will take to get on screen. It seems like this show had already planned for it to come out, And it does look just like Mahershala, but it's not his actual voice, I don't believe. And that's okay. I think hopefully it just makes fans want Blade more. I do. I didn't like or know. It's not that I didn't like him. I didn't know Blade. So to see him in action as Moon Knight, just one of the sickest things we could have, honestly, they could have done, in my opinion. So there is Khonshu in the background. We do get to see him one time, but mostly when he's communicating with Khonshu, it's just he's talking to him and nobody else can hear. So that is insane. Khonshu whispering orders to Blade, and it's just a fan service slam dunk. The Ohio compound gives us Red Guardian, Yelena, Melina, Natasha's mother figure from Black Widow, and Yelena's mother figure. The family reunion vibe doesn't last long. They are overrun, and Melina makes a sacrifice play. By the end, the mission is clear. Kamala must carry this Pym-shrunk transponder to the Nova Corps. The fate of the Earth depends on it. They will probably have the futuristic technology to get them out of this situation. Foreshadow. I'm not going to say what becomes of that just yet. However, let's just talk for a second. Kate Bishop's death was shocking. It was the first death in the show, really, that you're like, oh, they really will go there. Oh, damn, that's her skull. It's like, oh, I could totally see Doctor Doom ripping out Thanos' spine now after watching this. They might have to give Avengers Doomsday a PG-13 rating. I just think some of the gore in this episode is setting us up for some heavier, winded fights in future movies. And I don't think it would be a bad idea to put it up to a PG-13, which I think it always is. I don't think it would do great as an R-rated movie, but I want to see Doctor Doom rip out Thanos' spine and have him claim the role as ultimate villain, similar to how Thanos did Loki. Let's get back on track, though. Again, Blade Knight was cool. Icarus fighting Carol endlessly, insanely awesome, terrifying as well. They're fighting each other so much, so often that, like, I don't even think we see Captain Marvel at the end battle. I think she's just still fighting Icarus. And thank God for referencing the Eternals. Yes, the Eternals has been referenced. It exists. It exists canonically. All right, so episode 2, we have Shang-Chi. I learned how to say it correctly, and it sounds way better that way. Shang-Chi's rings and the Raft betrayal. Episode 2 pivots hard into Shang-Chi's corner of the MCU. We flash back to San Francisco at Outbreak Day. Chaos, giant ants, giant people, and a desperate escape for Shang-Chi and Katie, which is a very slick action scene moving through a city that's being destructed by zombies, people freaking out. We don't really get to see the beginning of the apocalypse much in this series. The apocalypse started when Janet Van Dyne so this is like kind of ground zero of the whole apocalypse, because they were in San Francisco, and that's where Shang-Chi is. Still, he's a valet for cars with Katie. And Janet Van Dyne was rescued from Hank Pym, by Hank Pym, sorry. And she's rescued by him. But she's a zombie. In the quantum realm, she found some zombie virus. It's kind of terrifying to know that that's in there. So if they ever want to do like a Marvel, they should do a IRL Marvel Zombies Halloween movie in the next few years. Like, everyone would eat that up. It would be a classic. However, this really could stand as one. They wanted to make this a movie, and I think it was a good idea to include Spider-Man to pick up that story that everyone wanted to see picked up from the show What If. Wenwu swoops in with the 10 rings. After Shang-Chi gets bitten, he sacrifices himself. So Wenwu is always destined, it seems, to pass on the rings to his son, no matter the fate. He comes in more of a hero here with the 10 rings, the gang, and a bunch of helicopters. It's kind of comforting to see that much support under this much crazy chaos. And yes, passing these rings from father to son in one final emotional handoff, and he dies very similarly and bluntly like he does in the movie Shang-Chi. If you haven't seen Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, go watch it on Disney Plus. It's one of the best multiverse saga movies, and not just Phase 4, the whole saga. And he needs more movies. I've said that before, I'll say it again. So we get 5 years later, and Shang and Katie are still fighting, but they're in good spirits, honestly. You got a Mad Max vibe here. Now they're driving through cars through a desert singing Journey's Lights. When the lights go down in the city. Sorry. And it comes out so naturally. It's such a great freaking song. It's so light and bright compared to the zombie apocalypse wasteland that they're fighting through. And they have to fight a bunch of Skrulls, which is kind of funny. They're not even taking like secret form anymore. They're just literally on motorbikes trying to fight Shang-Chi's gang / crew. Did I mention there's Jimmy Woo? The team expands with him. And then the silent character, Death Dealer, who we don't see a lot of, but he's from Shang-Chi. So it ends up with that song, by the way. My dad came home and it was blasting out of his car yesterday. And I was like, what the heck? That song Lights was in the show I just watched. And he was not too surprised. But I was. That's a big moment where they're all singing that song. It's kind of powerful. It reminds me a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy. So Baron Zemo rules over New Orleans and, more importantly, the Raft prison. He has it in New Orleans. He was likely locked up in Civil War, and he somehow took over the Raft, and now it's a giant boat for them to travel the waters of the apocalypse. Red Guardian provides a lot of comedy relief with his bottomless appetite. We get to see him eat a lot in this show, which leads to his inevitable downfall. Eventually, we'll talk about that when it comes. But all of this turns sour when Namor and his mermaid zombies attack. Before we get to that, though, I should mention that Shang-Chi did meet the heroes of the first episode. So we have Kamala Khan and Lexi / Red Guardian. We have the mom of Black. Oh, no, she died. She sacrificed herself. Didn't she? Yeah. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, so their mom sacrificed themselves in the last episode so they could escape to New Orleans. But just to show that there's a great chemistry off the bat between Kamala and Shang-Chi. And I think these characters are a really fun team up of some of the newer characters that we haven't seen in an Avengers movie. I will tell you, this is the next best thing that we've gotten to an Avengers movie in this saga, with these characters crossing paths, interacting with each other like they were probably meant to years ago. It's okay, though. We course correct and we make the best movie of all time in Avengers Doomsday. And I have so much faith and excitement after seeing this that movie is going to kick ass. So when Namor attacks the Raft, it becomes crazy. And, of course, Baron Zemo, who's running the Raft with John Walker, he sets all the heroes out into the sea and does an evil thing. But the heroes come back in. Kamala delivers the goriest kill yet, and I can't say Namor was doing destructive, horrifying damage. He's so scary as a zombie, but he bites down on Kamala's arm, and she blows Namor's head clean off by expanding her embiggened fist in his jaw. Oh my goodness, Yelena makes her tragic sacrifice, sealing her loved ones in the escape pod while pouring herself one last drink as the zombies close in on her. We don't see her die. We don't see Riri Williams die earlier either. We just move on. Alexei is broken. He's a broken man from this. What a wide range of personality the character Red Guardian is. He's become my favorite. I've always liked him since Black Widow. I saw some criticism on Black Widow recently, and I'm like, did you see the movie? It was a really great movie. I might just be non-critical, and that's okay. If you are someone with a hotter take, send me what your thoughts are on all of this. Marvel Maniac Pod at gmail.com. I want to hear your take. Or join our Patreon community. You don't even have to pay to get into our chat rooms where we're discussing. Join our Wall of Heroes along with our legendary superhero tier Michael Finney, epic supporter there. And by the end of this episode, the survivors that are dwindling are Kamala, Shang, Katie, Red Guardian, Zemo, and Blade Knight. and their destination is New Asgard. Yes, John Walker is obliterated and ripped in half. And so is Jimmy Woo. This is like, it kind of goes bad very quickly for some of these side characters. Jimmy Woo doesn't make it to New Asgard. He dies very, very gory and abrupt, and they are on their way. They know there's a spaceship there, most likely, that they can bring this beacon to outer space to get the Nova Corps to help them heal the world and save it from all of this zombie madness. Shang-Chi has an emotional arc in this season, and I think the fact that we're getting to see this much of Shang-Chi shows how much they want to utilize him, and they're not afraid after all this time to making him a central character. I think putting him in this was such a smart idea. Center stage, I'd say he's the secondary or third member of this cast who's like the main cast and the main characters you're following. And I think it's especially cool that Katie knows how to use the rings now too. So this makes for some epic Shang-Chi Katie team up moments. Somebody even asked if they're a couple, and they act kind of funny about it. I do see Katie and Shang becoming, together, in a relationship. But we've praised recently that the first Shang-Chi movie, yes, the first of many. I'm saying we need more. It proves that they're just friends in that. And, that's actually quite refreshing, at least just for that movie, even if they have a future love story. They didn't cram it in the first one. They wanted you to feel the 10 rings and the vast world surrounding Shang-Chi within his alternate dimension origins. And if you haven't seen that, you have to go watch it. The Kamala story arc also is giving so much brutality on her part, and instead of like whomping in the sadness of what their life has become, like The Walking Dead did, and I'm sorry, Walking Dead, but I gave up on you. Like, you killed a character that you shouldn't have killed. It was the final straw. I stopped watching, and I won't say anymore. I'm not here to bash Walking Dead, but it's kind of great that we move past some of the natural human formalities of grieving, loss. We see a little bit of it, but honestly, it's not too much. It's just enough of sadness and oh my God, and I can't believe this energy too. We have to keep moving. We're moving for them. We're breathing for them, and that's what Yelena's sacrifice was for. That was her mom's sacrifice was for. There's a lot of sacrifice. That's what Riri and Kate Bishop's sacrifice was for, to get this beacon out to the Nova Corps. I never say it right. And just so you remember, they're the army that comes from the planet Xandar. This is the place where the Guardians of the Galaxy meet. This is the place where the final battle of Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie, has. And this is also the place that apparently Thanos decimated for the Power Stone, and we don't see that on screen. So I hope we see that one day in a movie. We'll talk more about that another day. More Thanos, and that brings us into episode 3. Spider-Man, basically a cameo, but he's the main character of the other episodes, so he's like secondary main character, but not as much screen time as anyone would have really hoped. And the New Asgard betrayal, oh my goodness. The cold open of this third episode delivers the long-awaited what if zombies follow-up. Spider-Man's narrating at the beginning. Scott Lang's floating. He's a floating head with the cape of Doctor Strange. Go watch that episode. It's pretty funny. Another bit of comedic relief. And then T'Challa with one leg. They're in a desperate battle against zombie Thanos. This is a true MCU scale set piece. The animation is peak. The fight is fun. Thanos initially fights like a brute, but adapts, using the stone strategically a little bit more and raising zombies with the Reality Stone. Rocket, Groot, and Thor arrive literally in Infinity War style, the same way, the same poses, the same moves, right? Only to be instantly slaughtered. Another character we see get just obliterated to their bones is Rocket Raccoon. Oh my gosh. Horrifying, honestly. And that wasn't even like a zombie death. That was just a brutal Infinity Gauntlet kill from zombie Thanos. It's kind of funny that the characters and the heroes and whatnot, they have powers and they still know how to activate them. So there's a little bit of more brain chemistry happening in these brains, these zombies. The thing is here, I wanted to mention, and I forgot to mention about the first episode, Captain America was cut in half by Bucky in the original What If, and then he comes back as half a man because zombies don't die. If you cut them in half, they die if you break their head or shoot them in the head or whatever magic power in the head. That is cool, but one thing that disappointed me overall before I get back into this episode 3 is that Bucky didn't show up, and Bucky totally could have came into the story because we didn't see him die on screen. However, Hulk we did see fighting and not die on screen as well, but we have a story for him. Actually, he does survive, and it's actually insane. So this is the Zombie Thanos Extraordinaire follow-up. Rocket and Groot and Thor entrance totally botched. Thor still throws his hammer into Thanos. Doesn't work. Black Panther makes a huge sacrifice play because Thanos gets the Mind Stone and completes the gauntlet, very similar to when he got it in Infinity War with all the colors flowing through him. But Black Panther jumps onto Thanos and Zombie Thanos and brings him down deep into the vibranium mines where all this power is coming from, and it destroys both of them in a massive explosion. Except in that explosion, the Infinity Stone energy lives. So there's this area where on the map now, let's just call it, where the Infinity Stones were completely destroyed in the bottom of a power mine, and it's causing like a lot of destruction. So they do something to fix this and deal with this that we learn about in a little bit. We get back to 5 years later, and it's Peter telling the story to children at Kamar-Taj. Yes, he was saved and brought to Kamar-Taj. The portal's always coming in clutch. Our new main crew arrives at New Asgard in the meanwhile. That I can't overemphasize, but I am. That beginning opening with the Thanos fight, it was maybe my favorite part of the whole show. I really liked it. I'm a big fan of Thanos too. That would be why. But here is where betrayal strikes. Valkyrie bars them entry until Khonshu appears, visible to Asgardians but not mortals, in a hilarious exchange. Kamala emerges as the heart and leader more and more, especially in this episode. She's lifting up Red Guardian. He's so distraught about losing his family and Yelena, and what a deep, complex character. I believe it was David Harbour's voice, because I think that's his name. I think he's fantastic as Red Guardian. So excited to see him in Doomsday. I'm really excited to see how he interacts with even like the bigger other characters, like Red Guardian and Loki. How will they interact? Will they ever interact? I'd like to think so. So, Wanda Maximoff returns, seemingly alive, but it is revealed to be the Queen of the Dead, manipulating reality. Wanda Zombie might be the smartest and most brutal enemies we've ever seen, because she can form herself into looking normal to manipulate, and then her true form is the zombie form, which is just scary. She's a scary face. The Grand Feast is a cannibalistic trap. Reality breaks, and it shows Red Guardian eating unknowingly zombie flesh and blood. Oh, I have it down here that Jimmy Woo's eaten. So I must have just misplaced Jimmy Woo in this craziness of this story. So my bad. Jimmy Woo has been along for the ride. Totally eaten alive in this one. Death Dealer, another big death, is dead. And Zemo gets annihilated. It is brutal. Zombie Wanda is terrifying. And speaking, thinking, and yet the scariest presence of all so far. Thor, a catonic on his throne. He's just not doing anything. He's depressed. Instead of getting fat, he gets skinny. It's by the way, the parallels of the 5 years later, definitely echoing intentionally the Endgame 5 years later. The story mirrors Infinity War and Endgame in a brilliant way, and it's just so upside down, turned around. The survivors actually escape with Valkyrie. Thor sacrifices himself to let them go, and he fights and fights and fights while they're going away in their spaceship, and they get up into outer space. They're on their way to the Nova Corps. Almost seems like a happy ending. They put the beacon onto a thing that can call Xandar and get the Nova Corps help. And they came so fast. Their arrival is no salvation. In a gut punch, they declare Earth quarantined and condemned. Humanity will be incinerated if it tries to flee. These characters have done so much to get to this point, and they're completely shut down by the Space Force of the Nova, who we've seen be kind of the good guys before. It's not really out of the question to say, look, this thing can take over the whole universe pretty fast. We need to contain it, and that needs to be our job. I can kind of understand that, but from our character's perspective, honestly, that really sucks. It's hurtful. It's a shocker. It's a shocker, a big moment, because it's what we've been amping up to these all 3 episodes, and they've done so much to get to this point. So yeah, episode 3, fantastic. All the episodes are great in their own ways. Wanda's reveal was fantastic in this episode too, how she really wants Kamala to join her. And we never really find out exactly why, but she is definitely a key to doing something that Wanda does at the end of the series in the next episode. Thor's sacrifice was epic and probably it was more redeeming than how he killed Thanos in Endgame, where he cuts off his head. He really actually just creates a distraction so the heroes can fly away up to the Nova Corps and almost die from them anyway. Which brings us to episode 4, exactly what happens. Infinity Hulk and Wanda's triumph. Episode 4. The title sequence is scary for Marvel's What If. It's just a loud, like, violin-y type noise, and you hear, like, whispers under it and stuff. It's scary. The finale wastes no time. The Nova Corps annihilate the escape plan. Kamala shields the crew through re-entry, proving herself Avenger level once again. The spaceship is gone. She has them, but entering the Earth's atmosphere does not let her keep her shield for long, and they're all free-falling. But they all get portaled to Carmartage. And the last ace is revealed, right? Bruce Banner did survive. This is where it's revealed. He's been absorbing the shattered Infinity Stone energy, and that transforms him into what we're calling Infinity Hulk. The design alone screams collectible. I want that pop figure. The battle is apocalyptic. Okay, the final battle. This is where all the heroes, we get to see some moments between Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel, and they're so heartfelt. I want to see them on screen together. Great chemistry, great future heroes. And I'll say it right now before I forget to say it. Zombies proves Kamala Khan can be a leading Avenger, not even just a young Avenger. She can be the light, bright hope and the heart at the center of the team. Although they are likely going to make a young Avengers story instead, I think Kamala Khan has complete staying power. I could see her growing up and still being Miss Marvel 10 plus years from now, because she's that good at the role. And honestly, she's just getting started with it, in my opinion. Shang turning to a complete zombie after being bitten is a huge highlight of this fight. Zombie Thor comes out. He unleashes devastation, blasting power from his mouth. Blade Knight gets obliterated. Kamala, Shang, Katie, and Valkyrie and Spider-Man rally in the Avengers-style moment, only to be overwhelmed. It goes well at first. Kamala's doing all these cool moves where she's like chopping off their heads with her like a giant, like frisbee type thing of her powers, which is just crazy. Spidey webbing up and ripping off 15 zombie heads at once, like insanity. Shang turning, again, I jumped the gun on that a minute ago, but that's the first sign of the fall. And Infinity Hulk stomps zombie Thor to a pulp. Like, his head is smashed in the ground. It is graphic and disgusting, and everything this show has been telling us that it is proud to be. We are a gory zombie show, not just a Marvel series. This is going to be a bloody ride. And then it was from the beginning all the way through the end. But the true showdown is Wanda. She raises zombified versions of many of the fallen heroes. We got Hank Pym even in there and Janet Van Dyne, the first zombies of the whole apocalypse. She corners Kamala, whispering that together they can end this and save the world. It is a hard thing for Kamala to do, and Infinity Hulk does his very best, but he does become subject to Wanda. Wanda is so powerful. The Queen of the Dead is in ownership of this fight. She won. And out of desperation, Kamala takes Wanda's hand. She's exhausted. She doesn't want to see her friends die. If this is going to help everybody and everything, she's going to do it. It's really her only option at that point. All of a sudden, a bright light, reality fractures, kind of like the snap, right? Almost a little bit like the snap moment where everything turns white and there's just like this moment of change. So Kamala is just all of a sudden waking up in her bed at home. No Captain Marvel posters on her wall, again, because she hasn't even really met her. She didn't get to do her Endgame iconic spaceship destroy move, which made Kamala Khan into Miss Marvel, technically. Her mom waking her up, it's just a normal day. I guarantee you that's the real voice of her mom because it's very distinct. And who doesn't love the Khans? But she goes out to Boba with Riri and Kate Bishop, and it's as if nothing happened. And all of a sudden, there's cracks through reality, and we see Riri fighting zombies. And then it cuts back to normal reality. And then we see Riri again. She's like, it's not real. Don't give in. Like she's under some sort of trance, Kamala Khan. And the truth is here, plain and simple, Wanda has won. Earth is her undead kingdom. Kamala is trapped in an illusion that I think she's starting just to let go at the very end. She's letting it sink in that, oh, no, we're still here. But a big plot twist in that one of two things. Riri survived, or Wanda brought back everyone from the dead to make even more dead. Something like that. Like make the whole world go back to dead or bring back the Avengers. I don't know. But I think it's plausible to think something bigger is happening here. It's open-ended for our interpretation. My interpretation is that Wanda did win, but there's motives to put Kamala in a trance in a fake world, like the Matrix, instead of killing her and making her a zombie. So I don't know what Scarlet Witch's ultimate plan is. I would probably guess it would be to move on to other worlds and conquer the universe, exactly what the Nova Corps are there for. This kind of sets up for a scene where Queen of the Dead zombie Wanda in a future episode, hopefully in season 2, going up and taking out the whole Nova Corps with her untapped, insane level of power. This is honestly where the show's going, in my opinion. I think she might be keeping Kamala as like a backup power source or something like that. And in all reality, Kamala is in this trance because Wanda wants her to be, not because she has to be. Or she has to be because Wanda wants her to be, but we don't know why. There's nothing written on the wall. It's just all we know is Wanda is still the Queen of the Dead. The apocalypse is still happening. And our main character, our brave hero of this series, Kamala Khan, not dead, but defeated and living in this trance. She's breaking out of it. Riri's alive. What's going to happen next? Let's all demand a season 2 because this season was so good and it happened so fast. Make it a 5-episode season because we technically have 5 episodes of this story, including the first What If episode, which in my opinion is a necessary watch. Wow, this show was big. I know I didn't hit every death, every moment, every second, but I think I hit the summary pretty good for you guys. I don't want to make an hour-long sleep through this episode because we all just saw it, so I'm not going to recap every moment. But I let you know what I thought, what I had to share, and Marvel Zombies is brutal, inventive, and bigger than I could have ever expected. It gives us Blade Knight, Infinity Hulk. I love the colors. I love the power. He's so powerful. He kicks so much ass. I don't think I mentioned that. Like Infinity Hulk literally is kicking ass. He's just like punching the air, and it's like knocking zombies back. Pretty cool. Zombie Thor was very cool, very scary, And most important of all, though, it crowned Kamala Khan as the true hero of this story. She outshines Spider-Man. And not by overshadowing him, but by leading with light, heart, and hope in the darkest setting imaginable. If this was her audition for Avengers level leadership, she passed with flying colors, or flying Infinity Hulks. Sorry. And Wanda Maximoff, she is the scariest villain in the MCU. And if there's a season 2, it'll be the fight to reclaim the universe from her undead kingdom, in my opinion. The Nova Corps, I think they're going to get a little bit of karma. I think they're going to have to fight her because they're quarantining and they're watching. And if Wanda tries to leave the world, I mean, she could raise the dead everywhere. That is my guess. At the end of the show, she might even remain off-world, and maybe Kamala's like an anchor point for her, funneling her powers. I don't know. There's so many ways I can go with it, honestly. The way they ended it was very bold, and they don't usually end things like on open-ended like that, except for like Infinity War. This was very fun. I haven't had so much fun watching a Marvel property in a while. And I mean, Agatha All Along was really good. Another great Halloween level show. Can we believe we were covering that a year ago right now? Oh my goodness. If you're watching Agatha All Along for Halloween, I would recommend it for this month. We got our after shows. Go down, listen to those after you listen to each episode. They're a good time. I had a lot of fun making them. So Marvel Zombies is proof that animation in the MCU can still shock, inspire, and terrify. And this is the start of, if this is the start of a saga, I am all in. Seriously. Get another season out before they do Doomsday and reset the universe or whatever they're going to do. Let's conclude this story. Make it even bigger, better, badder, more awesome. Let us have the true Avengers Assemble moment somehow. Maybe Kamala gains some of her powers to Wanda's powers if she's funneled into her and she could raise the dead. Who knows? I don't want to talk too much about Kamala, but I know she's going to be a huge part in the MCU going forward, and this show gave me a lot of faith. The amount of Shang-Chi, not just a side hero, he's like the secondary main hero, and Kamala is the main freaking hero. So that is it for Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. What did you think of Marvel Zombies? Were you shocked, thrilled, frustrated? What were you by the ending? Let me know. marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. And don't forget, more episodes are on the way. I have a Thanos-themed episode coming out, and I have a plan for the next few weeks. I think it's going to be a lot of fun what we're covering. You're not going to want to miss it. Remember to support our show on Patreon. It goes the longest way. We're forming a community over there. Get on our wall of heroes and join the discussion. And also, every Saturday, a 5-minute mini-sode. And they're quality mini-sodes. I love making them. We got about almost 20 on there right now, just for you to pick and choose. Maybe you don't have a lot of time and you want a little bite-sized Marvel Maniac. We got that there for you. Go to my link tree in the description of this episode to find all my social medias. Follow me, get acquainted with me, or just follow the Patreon. Do anything, and especially tell your friends about the show. Rank the show on Apple Podcasts. Give her 5 stars. Leave a nice review. It will get read on the show, and it'll be highly, greatly appreciated. So maybe I'll rewatch this Zombies show on Halloween again, just for pure joy and in season theme. I think I have to order a Marvel Zombie shirt. I'm insanely obsessed with this. I might even go get the comic book collection of the series because I heard it's a lot different. We could talk about that another day. This has been Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest, broadcasting to you live from outside of the apocalypse, Earth 919. I just made that up. And we will see you on the next episode. Thank you for being here. And until next time, zombies, Marvel Zombies, disassemble.